And I hear about a blue wave. I say, why is there a blue wave? We are doing better now with jobs. Today, there are more people working than at any time ever in the history of our country. So I don't think there's going to be a blue wave. I hope there's a red wave.
All right, well, the polls can be wrong. The polls are talking about this blue wave. Of course, the polls said one thing in 2016, and it worked out differently. The polls actually nationally on the popular vote were right back then. But what people forget, and what the president got as a shrewd campaigner back then, is that this is a state-by-state electoral vote push. And on that measure, going into some of those key battleground states, the president turned it around for himself and won. Now, in those battleground states, like in Pennsylvania and Illinois, and where trade issues have become a big issue, Republicans are facing an uphill battle, not across the board, but in a lot of places here, which means that's what you should be looking at, and not necessarily looking at national numbers, because that will tip key House races, and in other words, maybe be a signal that the House could or might not change hands. Fox News contributor Kat Timpf is here, Democratic strategist Capri Cafaro, and Republican strategist Jen Kerns. Capri, you and I were briefly chatting during the break, and this issue came up about Democrats pushing impeachment. We've had a number of analysts on both sides saying for them that might be a big mistake. You say?
I do agree. I think that it is a big mistake, and for a number of reasons. I mean, number one, Donald Trump won a lot of middle-of-the-road traditional Democrats. So in order for Democrats to win seats that are potentially pickups, like the ones that, across the country that are being competitive, they need to make sure that they bring those Democrats back into the fold that voted for Donald Trump. Those people are not going to be particularly excited about, an impeachment press. Number two,
even if they gain the House, and once they're in there.
If they gain the House and they're in there, you also have to remember, if they do it, it's because they are actually also winning swing and more moderate districts. As you mentioned, Neil, this is a case-by-case, district-by-district, state-by-state, and issue-by-issue race, whether it is a general election or a midterm election. And so those folks, if they want to win in 2020, trying to vote Donald Trump on impeachment is not going to help them win re-election.
And do they realize it's not like they get President Hillary Clinton if they do impeach him, right? They get President Pence, who is even more conservative than Donald Trump is. So I really don't understand
what this is.
Someone said he's
the president without the tweets. So.
Exactly, yes.
Yeah.
All right. So the president is saying, I don't even understand why this is happening. The economy's on fire, everything. What's going on here? What is going on?
Well, look, Democrats like Capri are very smart here. The reason the Democrats have changed their tune on the impeachment argument is because it does not poll well. If you look at a recent Quinnipiac poll, the popularity alone of, say, special counsel Robert Mueller has been down about 10 points. It's ironic that we're even polling the popularity of a special counsel, but that's the media.
But it has picked up a little bit. You're quite right. There's a separate poll that was out last week that showed that Americans still wanted to wrap it up, right?
Right. But you look at the number of Democrats is still pretty high, about 79% that would like to impeach Trump. But the independent voters here are the key, and those are going to be key in those states you mentioned.
Can I bring
and that overall number of people who would like for Trump to be impeached is actually down 10 points as well. So that is moving in his favor.
In the midterm elections, I think, obviously, we always talk about how important the independents are. And frankly, the number when people say, well, there are more independents that are, registered than Democrats or Republicans, that belies the actual numbers. People may identify with one party or another. Regardless of that, the independents, people that are maybe not crazy about what Democrats are doing right now and not crazy about Trump, they have to make the decision. Do we want to vote for Democrats simply because we believe that it's necessary to place a check on Donald Trump in the last 2 years of his presidency? I think that's where this comes in. And, we've seen a bunch of polling saying, AP just came out with a poll basically saying that Trump's numbers are great on the economy, but basically not good on anything else. But as we all know, polls aren't necessarily always the best indicator.
And in a midterm, an economy might not help you, right? I mean, Barack Obama had a good economy in 2014. Of course, there was the hangover, the health care law and all of that. His party still lost seats. So midterm is a little different. If you're happy with the economy and all, you're less inclined to go running out to polls because you're happy, right?
Right. Well, going out to the polls, let's just face it, is kind of boring. It's not the most fun thing you can do with your day. You have to wait in line, and there's not even anything fun at the end of the line.
I totally disagree with you.
Yeah, I think that it's boring. I still do it. I still do it.
It
it's
is
still
the core of our democracy.
It is, but it's hard to motivate people, and you see that when you look at the polls. Voter enthusiasm is actually higher than it's been in the past for both parties, but it is a little bit higher among Democrats. So I think that is going to be the biggest struggle, is trying to convince people to go out and vote.
Real quick, do you think the
people
House
are
switches hands? Do you think it happens?
It'll be close. I think it's too close to call. But I tell you what's not boring.
I don't think it's going to happen.
Well, yeah. I tell you what's not boring is having enough money in your pocket to pay for your kids'
Fair
braces.
enough. Capri, is it going to happen?
More than crumbs.
I think that it's more likely that they flip the Senate than the House.
Okay.
If that makes sense. So.
Wow.
I think it probably happens, but maybe by a small margin.
That's interesting. The Senate. All right, guys, we have a lot more coming up on this. And the fallout, if this happens the way they think it's going to happen, is this all a big non-event after this?